who then say, okay, you've come this far, but let me open you a new door and show you where this hallway goes. And that's where people are at, and they're getting into that motion. But, yeah, I can tell you right now, there is no debt.
Yep, thank you.
There never was a debt, ever, really, because there's no hard currency. There's no actual tangible assets that backs their money, and never was.
Right.
And this is why we'll get a little in depth for a second, and we may use some bigger words. But if you make a contract, and the basic overview law, even in the UCC, believe it or not, Universal Commercial Code, if you and I formulate a contract, we both have to bring wealth or collateral consideration to the table.
Right. And they never did.
Now, they never brought anything.
That's right.
They brought fictional nothing. That is the reason why I can write writs of seizure and seize homes. I can seize property. I can seize vehicles. I can take anything I want because they don't own it. They took it from whoever they took it from fraudulently.
Right. And you're doing this. And you're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, people need to know this. I want to highlight the success of what you are able to do because you have educated yourself, you've broken out of the matrix, and we can make use of someone like you who's already done all the difficult groundwork, not to say that we don't need to do some ourselves, but you have broken through and paved the way for us to learn behind you to show us how, like you were saying, because I was saying, I just want to be able to just squat on a piece of land that nobody's using. I just want to go do that. I don't want to have to, like, go and ask and use these fake pieces of paper that are not real money. I just want to go there. This is God's earth, or whoever you want to say the creator is. This earth was here for all of us to use. And as long as I'm not imposing myself on someone else's right, oppressing them, nobody else is using that piece of land, I don't see why I can't just go there and start living and growing. What in the world should preclude me from doing that? And you said nothing.
Absolutely. I mean, people they don't realize that the reality of common law and how it works and I mean, we can go in depth and talk about it. I mean, okay, I have been a party to 58 court engagements, and I am presently 58-0. So I have never been beaten, and people can say that that's arrogance or pride or whatever. It's none of that. It's education.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm never beaten is because I know the game. I know all of the ins and outs, and that I need to simply say I don't want to play your game. Your game isn't the game that's supposed to be going on the face of the planet, and argue from jurisdiction. You can't. It's difficult to lose unless you're attempting to be fraudulent, which then goes back to one of the original 3 ways to break the law. If you're committing acts of fraud, then you're going to get hammered, and it doesn't matter because the common law will not save you in a fraudulent situation.
Right.
Therefore, the system as it is now will just basically, the word would be rape. They will rape you and defile you, and the common law can do nothing but watch because you used fraud.
Right.
So, I mean, whenever you go in and you talk about jurisdiction, ladies and gentlemen, if I can say nothing else today, jurisdiction is the key. Because if I give, I don't know what your radio name or platform name is. Do you use your real name?
The WakeUp Project. Oh, my name, my personal name?
Yes.
Oh, just Susan. That's fine.
Okay. If I go and I say, all right, Susan has jurisdiction. Well, that means Susan is the law. That means Susan makes all the rules. So whatever Susan says goes. I gave her through consent. I gave her the power called jurisdiction.
Wait.
And that's what you...
Now, Susan walks in and says that? So I walk into the court and I say that?
Well, no, it's like if I go and you're in the court, you're the judge, and, we go to, and you say, okay, you did X, Y, and Z bad. If I say, well, no, I didn't, what have I done? I've consented that you have jurisdiction over the situation and that there's an actual argument going on about rights and wrongs. So I've given you the power automatically.
Right. Gotcha.
You are the sole determiner of where the direction goes because you're the jurisdictional power.
Okay.
You're the ruler.
Okay, that's like I've heard people say when the judge says, "Do you plead guilty or not guilty?" Do not answer the question, because as soon as you have answered the question, you've just given him jurisdiction over yourself.
And well, I mean, even that, everything comes back to jurisdiction. You know, if the judge says, you know, is so and so here, you start out with the argument of jurisdiction and nothing else. If they bring you in and they don't gag you, or they gag you or whatnot, and they say they stand up and say, "Do you plead guilty or innocent?" You ask a question. You simply ask the question of this: "Well, excuse me, sir," and use the word "sir," definitely, because that makes him a piece of chattel property, and he doesn't even realize it. You can play the game as well. Once you're educated enough, you can play the game and the word game, and they will lose because they're arrogant. But basically what we're looking at here is when you go in there and they says, "Are you guilty, or do you plead guilty, or do you plead innocent?" You say, well, sir, under the I'm a human being, and under the common law jurisdiction and clauses in the common law realm, which is this world of nature, what gives you the right to determine my fate?
Wow. And you say this in court?
Absolutely.
And you win every time?
Well, I mean, there are many different ways that I put it forth, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's always about jurisdiction, and you have to bring them back and remind them
who's the
that
boss.
You're a human being. Yep.
Yeah.
You remind them that you're a human being, which instantaneously liquidates the jurisdiction of the corporate entity, because you've said human. So we've now left the realm of martial maritime law, British common law, UCC, and you've moved into common law. Well, the judge has nowhere to go.
Because he cannot... Oh, okay, wait. So the judge, he can...
All about consent.
Okay. But
so the judge can't get you back over there until you consent to his jurisdiction.
Okay. But he can act as a judge for common law, but only if you've actually done something truly wrong. Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Technically, judges can take on both roles, and what you have to do is set the jurisdiction. You've told him what role he's allowed to play in.
I was going to say, all these codes and statutes, millions of them on the books, right? Of you have to drive with a driver's license, and all these little nitpicky rules that government has come in and slapped on us. If you behave as a sovereign, sentient soul, you are not required to follow all those rules. And so if they want to take you into court and say, well, you broke this rule, as if you use Eric's approach, you bring them up to a higher law, which is the common law, and they can't argue it. You say, I'm not going to consent to play that game and be that small servant or subject of the government and all those little rules and nitpicky laws. Not laws. They're not even laws. They're statutes and codes. And that's why I say people out there, protesting again, don't pass this law and don't pass this law and don't pass. It's gotten too ridiculous. It's like, no, just stop. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your time. There's a much simpler way to go about this, and that is just to behave as a true human being and just stop following their rules.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, that's basically
what
it all boils down to. I do not consent. I'm sorry, I do not agree. Whichever way you want to utilize the word, and that's what it is. When you get in the court system and you're arguing jurisdiction, you're forcing them to enact under common law, and it's all about that key word that was found in the Declaration of Independence. It's consent. And if you consent, if you agree to be a person, or you plead guilty or innocent, or you do anything in the courtroom that interacts with the system, you're consenting. You're giving them the jurisdiction. And so you just simply eliminate that idea. You just simply always stand on the principle of jurisdiction. Now, if you've broken the true law, and nothing's going to help, because the judge is going to say, okay, no problem, we're in common law, here's the frauds, here's where you injured this person, here's where you damaged this property, and he's got you.
Now, go on. Well, I was going to say, I was thinking about, I know there's a guy named Long, if some people have known him through YouTube and so forth, and he's quite educated in this too, and he helps get people out of jail by understanding how this game works. And so he's gotten a considerable number of people out of jail with this. And I remember you mentioning a way that you could actually go out and do what do you call it, a writ of something around the whole property of the jail and seize the jail and free the people.
Yeah, you could do a writ of seizure on the property. And basically, after about 45 days of seizing the jail property as your personal owned property because you're a sovereign individual, you can do one of two things at that point. You can say, okay, all of you people who are in my jail, get out. This is my jail. I don't know where you're going, I don't know what you're doing, but get out. Or, if you had the land, you could also, technically, as a sovereign, say, everybody who's in my jail, I now grant you political asylum. The doors are open. Go out onto the land, grow food, whatever it is you need to do. You're free.
If we could get this in our minds and really start walking the talk, just imagine what an amazing world we could create. You know, we're not limited. We're not limited. The chains on are self-imposed. They're totally self-imposed.